Hey, it's Cliff Jones, and if you've ever practiced fast passages only to sound robotic, tense, or soulless, this video is for you. Today I'm going to show you how to build speed and soul in your playing using my COPET method, which stands for the Composer-Oriented Piano Expression and Technique Method. Come, let's jump into it. Most people think playing it faster means playing it better, but what is speed without artistry? There's so many pianists in this world who have brilliant, outstanding technique, but then when you really listen to them, it just sounds empty, it sounds hollow, it's like having a five-course meal, allegedly having a five-course meal and there's no seasoning, right? You do not want to be the pianist that has all of this great technique, but then there's no story behind what you're playing. What you gotta understand is that we as pianists, we don't have the luxury to verbalize on stage or verbalize over a track how we feel about said piece, right? We have to be able to verbalize our interpretations through our fingers, through our hands, through our touch on the piano. And so many pianists lose sight of that. When I was taking lessons roughly like 10 years ago, one of my teachers always told me this: you control your technique doesn't control you. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I thought it just meant like, hey, okay, if I'm controlling my technique, that means that anything that I'm learning, anything that I'm playing, anything that I have in my fingers, I'm able to play it. I just have to play it faster. But it wasn't until I started studying with another teacher, my teacher, Sia today from the Harlem School of the Arts, when she told me that it's not about necessarily playing faster. You can have everything. You can have all the technique in the world. You can play as fast as you want. But if there's no story behind what you're playing, then what is it really about? What are you really doing? What are you doing playing music? What are you doing playing on stage, right? It's not about how fast you play. Because like I said earlier, so many people play extremely fast on the piano. So many people have all of this talent, all of these skill. But then when you really listen to them, it's like, oh, that's cool. But what is the story? How are you connecting with your music? How can I, the listener, really connect with you as the performer if there is no story behind what you're playing, right? And I say all that to say this. It's a lot of fun. It's amazing to want to play extremely fast on the piano. But you do not want to be the piano player. He or she can play everything and anything that they want. But then, like I keep saying, there's no story behind what they're saying. It's hollow, it's empty. You want to strive to be the pianist. The pianist, he or she has all the technique in the world, but how they phrase and shape melodic lines is the key to whether they can get their point across to their audience, right? You want to be able to develop your technique and your artistry hand in hand so well that somebody who comes along who does not have a lick of experience playing piano will be able to understand where you're coming from. They'll be able to understand your technique. They'll be able to understand your story. They'll be able to fully understand and grasp your artistry. Okay, let me give you an example of what I mean. I'm gonna take Franz Liszt's Un Sospiro, opening section, and I'm gonna play it two different types of ways. And I want you to listen closely to the two distinctions. This is the first way. Listen to the second way that I play this. listening to the two ways that I played Un Sospiro. The first way was flashy. It was frill. I showed that I could play arpeggios. I showed I could play extremely fast while crossing hands and doing all the works, right? But the thing is that it lacked emotional connection. It lacked storytelling. It lacked depth. It was hollow. It was like having a 5-course meal and no seasoning, right? It wasn't amazing. It's like getting a shirt that's allegedly designer and you put it on and you wear it once or twice and it rips in half and you paid freaking $100,000 for it, right? But then if you listen to the second way I played Un Sospiro, it was more lyrical, it was more beautiful. And what I did was I used the left pedal along with the right pedal, which made the accompaniment, which is the arpeggio, softer. And then while I was doing the crossing hand technique, I was using my touch on the piano to tell a story. And for those who don't know what Un Sospiro means, it means a sigh, a breath of fresh air, right? And when you listen to this piece, my interpretation of it is as if somebody is thinking of somebody that they love. They're walking on a beautiful sunny day and they're thinking of the person that they love and they just, right? And if I'm performing that piece and you as the audience, I need to get that point across to you, right? So the way that I do this is my touch, my use of pedal, my use of rubato, meaning speeding things up and slowing things down. Some people may feel that too much rubato is not good, which, okay, in some instances, yes or no, that's mostly like an interpretive opinion. But if I'm playing it, I'm going to get the point across that I'm in love. I'm thinking of somebody that I'm in love with. I'm walking through Central Park on a bright sunny day. Clouds open, the sun beaming, a beautiful gentle breeze, cherry blossoms everywhere in Central Park, and I'm walking through. I can smell the flowers. I can thinking of the person that I truly love here and here, and I get lost in that imagery, and I bring it out on the piano through technique and artistry. More importantly, artistry over your technique. It's all about how you shape your melodic line using your artistry over your technique. And this is how I teach my students how to do this. Let's say, for example, I'm teaching my students how to play octaves. The first thing I'm going to teach them is, well, what's the concept behind playing octaves? Because so many people, they think playing octaves is, right? We see our favorite we see our favorite pianist playing. Example, Lang Lang, right? Or we see Yuja Wang, right? But before you can develop that type of flash and frills, so to speak, or that type of showmanship, you gotta understand, how do you play octaves, right? So for example, the first thing about playing octaves is understanding that there cannot be no tension here, 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 or your back, right? Everything comes from your fingers and your wrist. A bonus tip is this: when you're doing octaves, especially when it comes to anything with the black keys, it's alternating between your 5th finger and your 4th finger. Let's say I'm doing a C minor octave. C, D. When I get to the black keys, I'm going to 1 and 4. Any black keys, I'm playing 1st finger and 4th finger together, right? That's for the left hand. Same thing with the right hand. If I do both hands together, because what this does is it takes off the tension from your fingers. It takes off the tension from your fingers and your hand. And also, it doesn't allow this to be tightened, as opposed to playing everything one drop. Right? That's something that we don't want. We don't want tension. So that's the first step that I would teach my students. We're doing octaves. It's how do you develop the octave technique without pain and suffering, right? The second step is now composing with these octaves techniques, right? The traditional way of learning technique is you do drills, which I have nothing against, right? Then you go to a piece, or you wait till you get to a certain piece to bring out these drills, right? And then now you have extra work to not only memorize the notes, but also now re-practicing this technique, especially if you have not been practicing said technique on a daily basis, right? And then now you have to use somebody else's music, which is, you know, we all have done it, but it's using somebody else's music to connect with what their ideas were, this composer's, what his ideas were, and now fitting this technique into that, as opposed to how I teach using the COPET method, composer-oriented piano expression technique method. You learn the drill, which we did, which is the octaves, and now we are going to compose something small, practicing octaves through storytelling. Storytelling and artistry goes hand in hand, and it should always be at the forefront. That's what I always teach my students. Artistry and storytelling goes hand in hand over your technique, right? Let me give you an example. So it's not even a bright day, not even a bright sunny day. It's a gloomy day. A little boy is walking home. He's on his way home from school. He's sad because he had a tough day. He's getting bullied at school, unfortunately. He runs into a bully, the bully that picks on everybody. He can't go across the street because there's other people who don't like him. So he has no choice but to walk through the bully and his friends, right? As he's getting closer, he's getting more and more sad and scared. The bully approaches him. The little boy is going to get beat up. But then his big brother comes out of nowhere. He stands up to this bully. And they're fighting. They're tussling on the ground, but then the brother comes out victorious. And then they go home and eat ice cream. What did I accomplish by using the COPET method? I accomplished how to practice octaves, which is a really challenging technique, right? I went through the drills, right? I explained, I understand now that in order to do octaves effectively, there cannot be no paying attention here. I have to use my fingers, 1 and 5. When it comes to black keys, 1 and 4. Alternating between those, I have to make sure, again, no paying attention is here. The second thing that I accomplished, that I learned, was that now I'm composing. Now, my thoughts, my emotions are coming out using this specific technique, right? So it allows me to connect in a more emotional level how to do these octaves, right? And the third thing, because it's second nature to me, and because I'm practicing this type of technique, now when it comes to, let's say, for example, Liszt Sonata in B minor, or even on a smaller scale, Liszt Transcendental Etude number 7, the Eroica, where it has all those octaves. Now I know how to practice and play these octaves. Now, not only do I have the luxury to be able to depict what Liszt wanted But now I'm using my own artistry. I'm using my own storytelling to depict what is in here and here. And that is the most amazing thing, right? Because now I'm learning my music faster because I can connect. I've already connected with the technique. I've already connected with my own artistry, my own storytelling. And now I'm using all of this great foundation that I have and putting it with a piece that I really love. And I'm telling my own story. I'm not letting the fact that my technique is so great that I can just with octaves, but there's no oomph, there's no fire, there's no story behind it. So that way, when my audience, when you hear me play Eroica, you're not just hearing Liszt, you're also hearing me as the musician, me as a human being, my emotions, my storytelling. And that is the most important thing about learning piano. Not just relying heavily on what Mozart wanted, because we don't truly know what Mozart wanted because there's no active recordings. Even with Rachmaninoff, who has recorded a lot of his own music and other people's music, we still don't know. There's a lot of people, famous pianists throughout the years, we're talking from 1900 to like 1943, before he passed, he has a lot of recordings of his own music. There is not a pianist today that plays it like him, right? Because we are not him. We don't understand, we don't know what he really wanted in his music. So now it comes down to your own interpretation. And the only way you develop that interpretation is, of course, going through the drills, but more so, developing your technique, developing your artistry and your storytelling over your technique, right? So that when it's time to put both together, you don't just sound mechanical. You don't just sound like a flashy person that's playing music that can do all these great things, right? You sound like a true artist. And that's the essence of the COPET method, composer-oriented performance expression technique method. Hey there, quick question. Are you someone who's struggling to break through that frustrating plateau in your playing? Do you feel like no matter how much you practice, you're not really expressing yourself or connecting with the music? If that sounds familiar, then you're exactly who I created the COPET method for. My COPET method stands for composer-oriented piano expression and technique. It combines technical mastery with creative composition to help you break through those walls. Imagine transforming every technical hurdle into a unique piece of music that's entirely yours. If you're ready to take your playing to the next level, I offer a 6-week self-paced piano bootcamp designed to transform your technique and artistry through the COPET method. You can practice at your own time and pace, and you'll also get 2 live masterclasses with me for real-time feedback and coaching. Not quite ready for the bootcamp? Check out my Cliff's Keys to Mastery monthly membership, where we dive into these techniques and concepts at your own pace with personalized feedback from me. Let's unlock your full potential as a pianist together. Now, let's get back to the music. Let me tell you a quick story. So, one of my current students that's signed up for my 3-month coaching program, 3-month premium coaching program, we're studying the Chasnige by Franz Liszt. If you know that piece, you know that it's insanely challenging. It's mostly based off of the technique called tremolando. If you don't know what tremolando is, it's when you do a rapid motion between multiple notes or 2 notes or more, whatever the case may be. I remember when we first started this piece, and my student, they know how to do the technique because they came from a different type of background, they practiced a lot, you know, and they found me and they were interested in the COPET method and different things like that. But he could not grasp how to shape the melodic line. The first week of working with me, I was like, I made him write down a story. What does this piece mean to you? Right? First and foremost, I asked him, before I asked him to write a story, I asked him, what does Chasnige mean? I had him look it up. And it means winter storm, right? So then after that, I told him, I want you to write a story that depicts a snowstorm. What is happening? How are you feeling? Pretend that you're in this snowstorm. Is there shelter? Are you in the middle of nowhere? Are you rushing to get home, to get out of the storm? What exactly is happening? How are you feeling? Are you feeling cold? Are you dressed warm enough? Are you sweating? Are you hungry? All of these different emotions I want you to write down. No filter, write down everything that you're feeling. Right? So, he wrote everything down. Let me read his story. I was like, okay, this is good. Now, how would you play this on the piano? Right? Well, I wanted him to compose something that depicts tremolando in a snowstorm. And, it took him a little while because he was under the impression that, it has to sound like this, right? It has to sound like that. It has to sound like this box. So the second thing I did with him, to break that whole entire mindset, because so many of us have that mindset that, okay, if it doesn't sound good, then it is not a composition. I had him listen to a piece called 4 minutes and 33 seconds by John Cage. I'm gonna link that in the description as well. And 4 minutes and 33 seconds by John Cage came out during, I think, the 50s or 60s. And it's basically a full orchestra. The conductor's there, he counts you in, he counts the orchestra in, boom, and nobody plays a note. And I think it's roughly 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes and 33 seconds. He's like, okay. So he listened to it. We listened to it actually. And during the live class, we listened to it. And he was like, what is the point of this? And it automatically took me back to when I was college and my professor made us all listen to 4 minutes and 33 seconds. That was the first question. What is the point of this? There's no music playing. I had him listen to it again. Made him listen to it 3 or 4 times, and we're just like, yo, I don't understand. This is a waste of time. And then on the 4th time, there was cars rolling in the background of where I'm at, right? He heard a car, he heard not even a car, he heard birds chirping. He heard people speaking in the hallway from where he was at. He started coughing. He started tapping because he was like, what is this? This is terrible. And then it came down to the most important thing. Composition is anything and everything. The sound of my voice is composition. The sound of this is composition. The sound of the vent that you unfortunately hear is composition. Once you understand that concept, it takes the pressure off of you to create something that is quote unquote deemed tangible by society, right? So I said, okay, now that you have to understand that concept and you've taken the pressure off of you to compose something substantial, quote unquote, compose something using tremolando technique that will depict a snowstorm. He composed something on the fly. It wasn't long. I told him only compose something like maybe 4 bars. He composed something on the fly, and it was actually really amazing. And he surprised himself that he has the skill to compose. Then we went back to the Chassonage by Franz Liszt, and he was able to understand and shape the melodic lines that he wanted to shape based off of the story of a snowstorm. Right? So I say a lot to say this. Why am I telling you this story? This is the use of the COPET method. The COPET method takes the pressure off of you from painting the picture of what this composer wanted, and now you're able to tap into here and paint the picture that you want. Right? Granted, you're inspired by what Franz Liszt wanted, but now you're taking it a step further by personalizing it, by making it your own, while also working on the technique. Once you have those things together, your technique and your artistry and storytelling, those 3 things together, combined with the technique, you become a true artist. You become one with the technique, so that now when it comes to a piece like Chasnige, or Chopin's Ballad No. 1, or Mozart's Sonata in A minor, or whatever the case may be, once you now are one with this technique and it's second nature to you, you don't have to do as much work to learn specific pieces that you want to learn, because you already have the technique in here and here through your storytelling and your artistry, right? And that's why I teach the COPET Method, to help pianists like yourselves transform on a quicker basis and really connect deeply and emotionally with the techniques that they learn. So, if you are somebody who is tired of the grind, tired of hitting that roadblock, I want you to head to the link in my description, book a piano consultation with me to see if you would be a great fit for my 6-week piano boot camp, or if the boot camp is not good for you, then book a consultation with me to see if you would be a great fit for my monthly membership called Cliff's Keys to Mastery. I love y'all. Take care. This is Cliff Jones, owner of the Cliff Jones Piano Studio. Remember, I'm not teaching you music, I'm teaching you life. Take care. Till next time.